We're going to sing number 4, To God Be the Glory. baptismal service at this time, and then we'll have some more songs of the offering.
Well, good morning. Did you guys hear me?
Yes.
Because I got all dressed, and then I realized I didn't have my mic on, so then I had to get undressed, and I was trying not to pant real loud after I had my mic on. So, this morning we're going to baptize Emily, and I'll never forget my baptism. It just made a memorable part because it was the very first time that I got an opportunity to be obedient to Jesus. The second thing is I got baptized in November in a river, in Missouri. So it was cold, and I didn't never forget just that moment of just that opportunity, the first time to baptize Jesus. And this morning I was looking over in Matthew 3, talking about when Jesus was baptized. And John the Baptist said, no, I shouldn't be baptizing you. And he says, yes, you need to baptize me. And it was Christ's way of, showing us that as a human, we need to follow him. He's following God, but he wanted people to understand that he was human, and this was his part. So Emily, if you want to come on in. Emily, it will probably be a little cool. Okay, Emily, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, okay? Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior? Okay, and I talked to you the other night about that. So, Emily, I baptized, grab my hand. Emily, go ahead and hold your nose. I baptize you, my sister, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. As you pray for Emily, as she's made this first step of being obedient as a believer. But I also want to take this opportunity to, if you've never been baptized, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, if you've accepted Jesus and you've never followed him, this is the first step. So, Miss Betty, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
What a blessing to see a young woman following in the footsteps of Jesus. We're going to celebrate that by standing and singing Victory in Jesus. I can't sing Victory in Jesus sitting down. So, Victory in Jesus.
Precious blood, such holy.
accepts Jesus and is baptized, it just glory, it's just wonderful in my heart. And the reason is, I was a young girl when I accepted Jesus as my Savior, and we didn't have a baptismal in the church in Adams, and so that time we went to Tyrone to the church. My pastor baptized me, but I was Christian, I've always been short. I was so short, they stood me on a concrete block so I could be seen above the baptistry. And I was baptized, and I remember, going under and thinking, what happens now? And all these years later, I'm singing Victory to Jesus. And that is fabulous. And so, but I was standing on a block, and now I stand on the rock, the solid rock of Jesus Christ. Let's sing Standing on the Promises. Standing on the promises of Christ my King, through eternal ages let us praise and scream. Glory in the highest I will shout and sing. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. Standing. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises that cannot fail. When the highest storms of doubt and fear assail, by the living word of God I shall prevail. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ our Lord. Bound to Him eternally by love's strong cord. Overcome enemy with the Spirit's sword. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises I cannot fall. Resting every moment to the Spirit's call. Resting in my Savior as my all in all. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Will the ushers come?
Dear Lord, we come to you today. We just thank you for allowing us to worship in your house. We ask that you just bless this offering and let it be done for you. We ask that you just be with the pastor today as he brings the message. Just help him touch our hearts so that we may go forward with this living. We ask these things in Jesus' name.
would you all stand with me? We're going to sing Trust and Obey. Trust and Obey. And then we'll go to the hour of hearing the word. When we walk with the Lord in the light of His word, what a glory He sheds on our way. While we do His good will, He abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. Not a burden we bear, not a sorrow we share, but our toil without richly repay. Not a grief or a loss, not an hour or a cross, but it's best to reach, trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. But we never can prove the delights of His love until all on the altar we lay. For the favor He shows and the joy He bestows are for all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. In the fellowship sweet, we will sit at His feet, or walk by His side in the way. What He says we will do, where He sends we will go. Never fear, only trust and obey. For there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. Our Father in heaven, Holy God, thank you for allowing us to witness this baptism this morning, Bentley. Lord, we thank you for the word that you have given to Brother Brent. Be with him, guide him, and direct him. We praise your holy name. Amen.
Good morning again. Thank you, Miss Betty, for not only leading us in worship, but Melissa and I and Thad and Hannah, we haven't been here very long. And so that's the first baptism I've been involved in here at Turpin Baptist Church. So I didn't know when we did it. I didn't know how we did it. So I just said, okay, Miss Betty, how do we do them? We do them at what part of the service? I've seen them at the very beginning. I've seen them at the end. I've seen them in a stock tank. I've seen all kinds of baptisms. So Miss Betty's like, oh, this is how we normally do it, but she said, it's up to you. And I said, no, that sounds great. And then I thought, I don't have an order of service. So Miss Betty had an order of service for today. Thanks for doing that, Miss Betty. I really like that because I get kind of nervous when it comes to doing things like that because I don't want to screw up. I don't want to mess up. I remember one time, the first opportunity, I got the opportunity to marry somebody. I got to marry some of our good friends. I got to marry, actually I married 2 of their 3 children. But Gabrielle, even when she was real little, known her since she was like 3 or 4. She was like, when I get married, I want you to marry me. And I'm like, still be alive. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I'll be. So I got really, really nervous. She wanted a real short wedding, so I said, okay, I'll kind of lay it out. We'll kind of discuss it when we were doing some of their marriage counseling. And, it was real short, and I almost forgot his last name. Okay, I was really nervous. And so I was just like, I get really nervous when it comes to doing things like that because I don't want to mess up. But I know that I'm not perfect. I know that God loves to use imperfect people. And so I think Dan needs some pair of hip waders because I think those had a leak in them. Because when I got out, part of my pants were wet. So I was just thinking, okay, that's not over with. And just little things. I think sometimes we get, when you're in ministry, you think, oh, this wasn't done right. And I think, man, it's all about the people. It's not about this or that. It's all about the people. So that's a whole other thing altogether. So I just want to kind of lay that out there. But when, and actually you're not only going to give me this week, you're going to give me next week. Dan's plan is to be back the next week, which is Father's Day. So really pray. I think he would love to be back. I think he would. And I told him, I said, man, when you come back, we can continue baptisms. I'll just do it for you. That way you don't have to try to get up in there. And he said, that'd be great. I just love Dan so much because he's like, hey, just do it however you think, how God leads you. Just do it this way. It doesn't matter. And so I was just really nervous. I did try on the hip waders yesterday to make sure they fit and how they were set up because I didn't want to get in there. So I did plan ahead. I did fill up the baptistry yesterday. I could not get the heat to work. So it was probably a little cold. So, but that's okay. So if you guys got your Bibles, hopefully you got your Bibles, or you got some kind of device. We're going to be in James 1, 13 through 18. And you're thinking, oh, he's still in James. Well, I'm going to continue through James until I get through James. No matter, next week I'll talk about the end of the service, what we're going to talk about, so you guys can begin to pray and kind of read ahead. But we're going to talk about resisting those nasty little temptations, okay? And Miss Betty, thank you for not eating my sermon illustration right down here. She probably, poor Miss Betty probably walks up and goes, what is he talking about? What is going on? But we're talking about temptations today, those little things in our life that cause us to sin, okay? And there's nothing wrong. As humans, we're going to be tempted. We're going to be tempted to do things that are not appropriate, okay? And so sometimes we take those temptations to the next level, the next level, the next level. So I have a story and then I've got a video later. I love telling stories. I love videos. I love sermon illustrations. So, but everybody loves to go into the zoo. Everybody we like going to the zoo. There's a lot of zoos, or a lot of times they're free, and sometimes you pay for parking, and sometimes, they make money in other ways. So, one of the favorite attractions in zoos are monkeys. Okay, you would think, well, when I think of a monkey, I think of my daughter Hannah, just running around trying to catch her, trying to get her to do this, stop doing this, sit down, be quiet. So, Hannah's like a little monkey. She climbs, she gets into things, if you ever try to buy her house and she's like almost standing on the railing out front, that's kind of normal. We don't get too upset. But for years, these hunters and trappers would go over to other countries and try to catch these monkeys. Monkeys were really hard to catch because they could climb and they could run and get away. But a lot of the local tribespeople had a very easy way. They didn't have trouble catching monkeys. Okay, they learned which melons that the monkeys like to eat the seeds out of. Okay, they'd cut a small hole just big enough for their hand. The monkey would put their hand down there and grab hold of the seeds, and then couldn't get his hand out while he still had. Now, if he would let go, he'd pull his hand out. And then the local tribespeople would come up and just pick the monkey up, and they caught the monkey. So, I tell you that to think of temptations. Sometimes we get our hands stuck in the cookie jar, and you're caught. You just, okay, I'm busted. Okay, and that's it. So in James 1, 13 through 18, it says, when tempted, no one should say, God has tempted me, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it's full grown, gives birth to death. Okay, 16, don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that he might be kind of first fruits of all he created. Father God, as we just come before you, Father, each one of us are tempted by something, by many things, we just have temptations in our life. But God, you've given us your word to help us overcome these temptations. You have given us directions, you have given us guidance, you have given us the ability to overcome these. God, just thank you. Thank you for this church, God, that just love us, Melissa and I and the kids unconditionally, and just say, hey, we love you. We're glad you're here. I ask all this in your name. Amen. So in James 1:13-18, he's talking about the dangers of temptation. Okay? And we all, for those of us that have children, you can tell that your child, ooh, that's hot. Okay, that's hot. But they don't know what hot is until they touch it. And then they will say, hot. Okay, they understand what hot is. So today we're going to look at the difference. The last kind of 2 sermons we talked about trials. Okay? So we're going to talk about the difference between trials and temptations. Okay, again, I forgot my pocket watch. So I got my phone up here, so if you see me looking at something, that's what I'm doing. So because I want to maybe do that early so we can start on the baked potato bar, because I'm excited. So today we're going to look at the difference between trials and temptations. And we're going to find a few things to do to overcome the temptations in our life. So remember that trials, they're sent from the outside and they're designed to strengthen us. Okay? Excuse me. We have things in our life, we have things that come up, we have bills we can't pay, we have cancer, our kids are disobedient. We just have things in our life, okay? Those things are trials, and they're in our lives to strengthen us and just to cause us to drop to our knees and say, dear God, I can't do this. I can't do this without you. So temptations, they originate on the inside and are designed to destroy us. That's really what temptation. Satan wants us to be destroyed. He wants us to be destroyed. He lies to us. So remember, trials are sent from the outside, designed to strengthen us. Temptations originate on the inside and designed to destroy us. So 4 general, and I do have some slides, and I'll get to those later, but I have 4 general areas of temptation. Okay? Okay, there's power, a desire to control. Who likes to be in control? Okay? And men, who likes to just always drive? Okay? You didn't really have to raise your hand up, but I know your wives know. That is okay. I personally could care less if I drive, because if I'm not driving, I'm sleeping. So I'm excited about that. So just that power, that desire to control. Do you always want to be in control? Whether it's at work, at home, church, whatever. Do you always want to be in control? Okay? Number 2 is pleasure, a desire to escape and be fulfilled. Okay? Do you want to just escape and it to all be about you? That's when I read the word pleasure, that's what I thought of. Do you want to just be all by myself? Okay? Now the other day, Melissa took Hannah. You notice Hannah's not here. Everybody's like, where's Hannah? Where's Hannah? They don't miss us, they miss our children. Okay, we know how it is. So Hannah's actually in Missouri with Grandma, Grandpa, and my mom. And so we're going to have to retrain Hannah when she comes back. Hannah had a milkshake for breakfast. That's what Grandpa gave her. At least there was milk in there, I guess. They're poor Sunday school teacher. So that desire, I love it when I'm by myself. Okay? Because I like to do what I want to do. Okay? Because I want to make it all about me. I'll just admit it. I love to be by myself. Okay? 3rd one is fame, desire to be known and accepted. Everybody likes to be known. Everybody likes to be accepted. Now, we went to the yard sales yesterday, and we were kind of with this one, and we met this one lady, and she's like, oh, you're the Thad. She'd heard it about a kid named Thad, and she'd heard her kids talk about Thad, but didn't know who Thad was. So, everybody likes to be known. Everybody likes to be accepted. It makes us feel good, doesn't it? Okay. The 4th one is fortune, a desire for more. okay? We like some more money. I think we all do. We like more stuff, we like more things. And I can't imagine that we actually went to yard sales yesterday and needed more stuff. But, you know, we go to yard sales, we buy other people's stuff. So, you know, how can you, or me, win over temptations? Okay? Number one, our first point is really stop the blame game. Okay? Stop blaming God. Okay? So, verse 13, it says, let me turn back here. When tempted, no one should say, God has tempted me, for that God cannot be tempted by the evil, nor does he tempt anyone. Okay? So stop playing the blame game. And we've all, if you got brothers and sisters, remember when you're little, what my sister did. You know, or my brother did that, or, you know, whatever. I know my little sister, I really hope, I know they're videoing this, I really hope my little sister doesn't watch this, because she might, I think it's funny, but I do. I remember my little sister would do things and then blame me, and I'd be like, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, you know, I didn't do, and I'd get in trouble, okay? Or she'd say, Brent hit me, you know. And one time, Amy tried to do that, and I wasn't even in the house. So Amy got caught. So it's like free reign on Amy. So I could do things to Amy, and I wouldn't get in trouble because my mom didn't believe her anymore. So stop the blame game. Sadly, sometimes you hear people, or it has been me, okay, blaming God for our sins. Okay? Or sometimes we say, here's the famous phrase, the devil made me do it. Okay? The devil can't make you do anything. Okay? Either way, it's not their fault, right? Okay? It's not their fault that they sin. And sometimes that's how we get. I think, and that's only here in America that we think this way, because we want it to be all about us. Okay? So in the last part of verse 13, James gives us 2 reasons why not to sin. Okay, here it is. God cannot be tempted. God cannot be tempted. Okay, the second one, God does not tempt anyone. Okay, he's not going to tempt you with things. He's not going to put things in your life that's going to make you stumble and fall. He's not going to do that. You might say, well, why? Because he loves you. And he wants to see you succeed. And he wants to see you serve him. And he wants to see you do great, amazing things. Have you guys ever thought? And Bo asked me, he said, are you a traveler when you preach? And I said, no, I usually go about, you know, here or over here. So he's like, okay, good. Because he's like, John's all over the place. And he said, Dan's right on spot. So this is as far as I go. Have you ever thought that you've just, I don't know if that, I forgot my train of thought. When God says, God does not tempt anybody, think of your life, think of what goes on, and you try to blame God. I mean, does that make you feel better? I mean, not really. I mean, not at all. You know, I mean, you're just like, I can't believe God would let this happen. I can't believe God did this to me. Okay, now, when it comes to sin, there's a consequence. Okay, we're going to get to that. Right now we have a real short video. Or actually, let me do my second point. Second point is to understand sin's strategy. Sin does have a strategy. Okay, there's a certain process. So we're going to go ahead and watch a quick video.
Okay, you got a minute? Yeah. Okay, listen, it's about that movie. Okay?
So we've already talked about the movie.
I know we already talked about the movie, okay? But just hear me out, okay? Some of my friends are going to see the movie, okay? And so what I'm saying is, I know the message of the movie does not coincide with the message of the Bible, okay? I'm aware of that. But it's just a little message, okay? It's just a little bit. So don't think it matters, okay? And I know there is some gore in the movie, okay? But listen, it's just a little gore, just a little, okay? And I know it's not real, okay? And there's some cussing, or as you would say, language in the movie, okay? And I know that, but it's just a little language, okay? And I know it's not real, okay? And there's some nudity. Okay? No, let me finish, okay? It's just a little nudity. It's just a little. And I know it's not real.
I said, you can go see the movie.
You're the best dad ever. Thanks.
Okay, and we're gonna have this conversation, so I decided that I would make you my famous brownies. These have been in the family for generations, for decades.
Thanks. I'm gonna take it with me, sneak it in the theater.
No. So I want you to go ahead and eat the brownie now.
Huh?
Yeah, I want you to go ahead and eat it now. Same great ingredients that I've always put in the brownie, son. Since you're a little kid, eggs, the cocoa, the butter, the flour, the vanilla. But I added something this time. Just a little bit of something, but I added
You
something.
shouldn't mess with perfection.
Well, it's kind of my point, son. Yeah.
Was it paprika?
No,
Was it allspice?
no,
Was it allspice?
no.
What was it?
Dog poop. Dog poop.
It is dog poop. From the big dog to the little dog.
Little dog.
That's a little dog.
Good. Well, shoot, son, it's just a little bit. It shouldn't affect the whole batch. It's just a little bit.
Okay.
What?
No.
What?
The next time you don't want me to go see a movie, just say, son, don't go see the movie. Don't feed me poop brownies. I don't even want to see the movie now. I just want to go get something to drink. There better be lemonade in the refrigerator.
All right. I just love that video. I actually showed it to Dan. I said, "Do you think this is okay? Am I going to offend anybody?" Or he said, "No, it's hilarious." And I told him what I was talking about. And he said, "Hey, that's great. But you got to understand sin's strategy. Okay? Just like those brownies, it just had a little bit of dog poop in there. Just a little. You know, and I think of the conversations that we're starting to have more with like Thad about watching movies. He's like, "Well, can I see this movie?" I said, "Well, what's it rated? You know, what's it?" And I've had conversations with people at work about this. You know, Melissa and I love the Avengers movie series. We love the Marvel stuff, but I don't think it's appropriate for all ages. Okay, so we personally do not let Thad see a movie that we haven't seen. Okay, just because we don't want to rule out anything. I'm more guarded, it seems like. So sometimes I think of our life. So sin starts off small. Okay, verse 14. But each one of you is tempted when by his own evil desires. He is dragged away and enticed. 15 says, then after desire has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Sin starts off really small, okay? Which is why it's so dangerous. Okay? Now, to actually eat brownies made with dog food would probably really make you sick, okay? But he said it's just a little. It's just a little. It begins with a desire or a thought, and it grows, okay? So, strategies of temptation. And you know, I really struggled with teaching on this because I don't feel worthy, because as I was preparing it, I really felt like I was thinking about a lot of my past sins, and just not thinking I'm not worthy, because I've struggled, I've fallen, I struggle sometimes every day, and it's just, I struggle with that. And I believe, as believers in Jesus Christ, I believe every believer struggles with one. Do I need to move this? There we go. Sorry. How's that? It's really loud. Sorry. I didn't know what Betty was doing over here, so now I know what that means. Thank you, Betty. I believe that every believer struggles with 1 to 3 things. Okay? And this is from talking to believers and about areas of talking about. Now, I thought, okay, what a better example is to bring some of the stuff that I struggle with. Food. Okay? And most Men, a lot of men don't admit that they struggle with food. I love food. Okay, I love, listen, you notice this box is open too. Okay, because we don't have any food in our house because we're going to Falls Creek, so we ate that last night. There was also one of these. You notice there's no box of these because we opened these two. But I mean, that's an area I struggle with. So here I am talking about temptation, struggling with food, and then we're going to go eat a big potato bar. So if you see me being a glutton, let me know. So, but the strategies of temptation. Verse 13, there's that desire, and it says his own evil desire. It's our evil desire. It's what we want. It's what makes us feel good. Okay. And let me tell you, I married an amazing cook. She is phenomenal. And everything she makes, all her recipes, are like for 4 to 6 people. So we always have leftovers, but sometimes I'm thinking, oh, that is so good. I think I want to eat another plate. Okay? And then, so we try really hard. Last night we had Sonic. That's probably the Southeast food. But again, we had no food in the house. So we split a burger. Okay? That's something to help both of us. Okay? So that first one was that desire. Okay? The second one was that deception. Okay? Deception, dragged away and enticed. Okay? This was actually like a hunting term. Okay? How you would hunt or trap or catch an animal. Okay? You would entice them. I know in Missouri, they actually will have they'll have little areas where they'll feed corn. They'll have a little corn feeder and now you can't use it during hunting season. Okay? But they actually go out there, or people will plant rows of corn out in the middle of nowhere. And it's to kind of entice the deer, to get them to come in and entice. Okay? So, dragged away and enticed. The third one was verse 15. Gives birth to sin. Okay? So you've had that desire. Okay? You've taken that desire to the next step. Next step, there's that deception. And that deception is going on in your brain. You're thinking, oh, well, this isn't going to hurt anybody. No one knows, but God knows. Okay? Then there's that decision. When we sin, it's actually a decision that we make. Okay? I don't kill anybody. I don't commit adultery. I don't do this, that. But there is that sin in your life. Okay? You may think. And I think as believers, we need to continually ask God, if I have any sin in my life, please show it to me. And when you do, be ready, because He will. And that sin might be, when you were at Walmart last night, and that lady was talking to you, you were a little rude to her. What a better place to meet people is at Walmart. And I remember this one time, this was here in Louisville, and, Hannah loves to go to Walmart. I think they go all the time, about every day. Every time they would go to Louisville, Hannah's like, I want to go to Walmart. I want to go to Walmart. Hannah likes to go to Walmart. If you go during the day, turn into the bakery, and they have a sample thing. That's what Hannah likes. Hannah likes to go and get a sample. That's what Hannah loves. And I was there one day with Melissa, and she's like, we get this guy's line, and she's like, hey, just to let you know, this guy talks a lot. Okay. Melissa knows that because she's kind of got to know that guy. Okay. When we were back in Missouri, there was a lady that we built a relationship with because she walked her dog around our neighborhood. And then we found out she worked at Walmart, so we'd see her at Walmart. So, and still, Dwayne texts us and messages us on Facebook, but it's about that. It's about people. So, there's that decision that gives birth to sin. And then the fourth one is when sin gives birth to death. Okay? So I always like to ask questions. I ask questions. Sometimes I ask you a question that causes you to bring your thing. So what do you think James meant by saying that death is the outcome of sin? It is the separation from God. Okay? So we don't immediately die after every sin. Now there is sins that if we commit them, we could die. Literally, we could die. Okay? Genesis 3:6 talks about the fall of Adam and Eve. Okay? Adam, Eve took the apple, and I'm not blaming women, I'm not blaming Eve. Man, it was Adam's fault because it says that he was right there. Okay? He should have told her, no, you shouldn't do that. That's not right. God told us not to. Let's be obedient to God. But that's a whole other sermon in itself. But there was that separation. And so I reread this, and it said Adam and Eve, they took it, they ate it, they realized they were naked, they covered themselves with fig leaves, and then they heard God, and they hid. Which is funny, because you really can't hide from God. Okay? It's kind of like playing hide and go seek with your kids, do you remember? And they say, I'm going to hide, and you see like legs sticking out, or you hear them, or you're saying, you're walking around, and they're like, here I am. So God had shown up to come walk in the cool of the day. God had showed up, was ready to walk with them, he's hollering for them. And then Adam says, we heard you, but we were afraid because we were naked. Okay, now, I love this about God. God asked them a question. Who told you you were naked? And so there's that separation, there's that death. So I think of my life, think of your life. When you've went through that process and you've actually sinned, you've stepped over the line, you've stood at the line forever. As believers, we shouldn't even need to be near the line. Because the Bible talks about when we accept Him, we should turn and go the other way from sin. We should totally walk away from it. We have to walk away. God never moves. We're the ones that move. So when you make that conscious decision, when you've sinned, how do you feel? Like dirt. That's how I feel. And I knew immediately I was wrong. I knew it. I thought, okay, I know better. I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? And I ended up beating myself up, and there's that guilt. So my third point has to do with you need to change your mind. You need to have this you need to have this process. You need to think, okay, God, I can't do this on my own. Okay? Verse 16 says, don't be deceived, my dear brothers. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who is not changing like shifting shadows. God hasn't changed. He never does. He never will. We're the ones that move. We're the ones that walk away. We're the ones that leave Him. We're just disobedient. That's what it comes down to. Okay. It says He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that He might be a kind of first fruits of all He created. Okay. God does not send temptation and evil our way. He sends good things. We cannot fall into deception that God is out to get us. It is a lie from the one who is really out to get us, and that is Satan. Okay. Now, as a believer in Jesus Christ, okay, I will spend eternity in heaven. Satan cannot take that away. I don't care what he might try to do or throw at me or just be in my face or whatever. He cannot take that away. It's a once in a lifetime decision. Now, what can happen is my witness. What he can do is affect things that I do with my life. And I think sometimes as believers we think, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. But that's what God wants to use people who are not good enough. Okay? I know I heard somebody say a while back, they were talking to one of their sister, I think it was their sister, and said, I keep looking for the perfect church. And they said, well, when you find one, tell me, because I want to go. There's no such thing. We're not perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. So it is a lie from the one who really is out to get us, and that's Satan. Okay. The word here, deceive, literally means to be led down a wrong path. Okay. When we're deceived, it's almost like being physically lost. You don't know where you are. Okay? Satan wants you to believe in a lie. James shows us the truth by naming a few things that God sends us our way. Okay, verse 17, he goes, every good gift. Okay, so I kind of got to thinking, I thought, okay, what is that? That's everything that God made. You know, when you go back to Genesis and he talks about everything he created, when he got done, he said, oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, that's good. That's good. But when he made man, he's like, oh, that's really good. You know? And I think about, because, you know, we were literally made from dirt. That's how God created me. And when you read Genesis, God spoke everything into existence. But he made us with his own two hands. So there's a little bit of a relationship there. There's that relationship that God wanted with us. So every good gift, every perfect gift, and that's Jesus. God gave us Jesus. He gave us Jesus so we can have that relationship back, so we can have that restored. You know, we did a study. Sorry, buddy, I'm that again. We did a study with the students talking about the sacrifices in the Old Testament, what they had to do. Man, that just would be awful. Can you imagine if everybody came to church and you bought some kind of animal with you? You know, what the process would be, and the flies and the mess and the blood and just everything. And it would just be horrible. But when we come to church on Sunday, you just need to bring yourself. And we lay it at the altar, and it's just like, here it is, God. Here am I. So every perfect gift, Jesus. And then the last one is that new birth, and that's our salvation. Okay? That came from God. We have been saved. I have been saved. Okay? Now, I grew up, Betty, I'm really excited. Sorry, I feel like I'm picking on Betty today, but I'm getting her ready for Falls Creek, because, you know, we're going to be like right there. So, I remember when I first thought I accepted Christ. And Betty announced, I think it was a while back, just recently, that one of the VBS meetings, they're going to talk about salvation. That's all they're going to talk about. And I think, man, that is amazing. Because I was one of these kids that was at Vacation Bible School, and they said, who wants to go to heaven? Raise your hand. And I raised my hand with all my friends, and they said, okay, come forward and repeat after me. And I did. And they said, you get to go to heaven. And I thought that was it. I thought, wow, that is it. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what that meant. I just thought if I said these words, that was it. And it wasn't until, and I really don't recommend, I don't recommend this at all. When students or even adults start dating, you need to make sure you date a believer, because Melissa, being a believer, was dating me who thought I was a believer, and that was not good for either one of us. Okay? And then she was like, hey, why don't you come to church with me? And I thought, okay, cool, because I want to hang out with Melissa, because I think she's amazing, and I love her a lot, and I want to go to church with her. So I started going to church with her, small Southern Baptist church, and had a revival. Couldn't tell you who it was, couldn't tell you what he talked about. But was talking about, accepting Christ, following him in baptism. I thought, I've never been baptized. So I went forward to be baptized, It wasn't until a little while later that I was talking to the pastor did I realize that I wasn't even a believer. Okay, and here I was 19 years old, thinking that, I was going to spend eternity with God, but I didn't. I went like 10 years thinking that. So I'm very excited that we're going to talk about an entire meeting about salvation, because I am very guarded. That's one thing when I met with Emily, I wanted to know without a doubt that she understood the decisions that she made, that she literally made that decision. So that new birth is that salvation. So verse 17 reminds us that God does not change. You can always trust that he is taking care of you, and there is help through those temptations. Now, I really believe, as believers, if we have temptations, we need to share those. Okay? And I think, and I know without a doubt, as believers, we don't confess our sins enough to one another. Okay, we don't. Now, I also believe some sins, you can come forward here to the church and say, I have sinned, this is what I did, and it's wrong, and I ask God for forgiveness, and I want you to pray for me. And I think that's great. I think some sins need to be done kind of privately with just your pastor, and just because I don't want it to turn into a big gossip fest about, oh, I can't believe that happened, but I just think that doesn't happen enough. And I think you need to have someone in your life that is like, this is where I'm struggling. This is where I am. And one of those people really needs to be your spouse. Okay? Okay? You really need to have say, hey, look, I'm struggling with this. You know, I know this. Melissa knows every one of my deep, dark secrets. So here's some kind of different. We're going to kind of begin to kind of wrap up again a little bit before we have a time of invitation. So temptations come in different shapes and sizes. So there's, and this is just 10 that I come up with. Okay, lying, self-centeredness, envy, laziness, bitterness, lust, gluttony, which I thought gluttony because we're getting ready to go eat a potato bar. Materialism, pride, anger. These are just the 10 that I kind of come up with. So the question I want to ask you, you don't have to answer this out loud. Have you ever been tempted by any of these? Lying, self-centeredness, envy, laziness, bitterness, lust, gluttony, materialism, pride, anger. Have you ever been tempted by any of these? Is there another temptation in your life that you're facing? I mean, is there anything in there that is just distracting you, causing you to lose your focus? So in your life, if you are, where are you at in these? Is it still a desire? Is it deception? Have you made that decision? Or is it death? Are you continuing to have that sin in your life that you're separated from God? And if you have sin in your life, God's not going to look. He's not going to look at you because he is so holy that he cannot have that in his presence. Okay, so just because you have sin in your life, you can confess that. God will throw that as far as the east is from the west, and it's totally taken care of, and it's totally gone, and he never looks at it again. You have to be willing to lay that at his feet. So we're going to get ready to have a time of invitation. And you know what? I don't know why God laid this on my heart. I really don't. I don't know if there's somebody here today that's really struggling with something, or they're just constantly being tempted by something. I would love to pray with you. There's other deacons here, ladies. Melissa's over here, Pam's over here. If there's anybody that you'd like to just say, hey, please pray with me. This is what's going on in my life. I really just need help. And as believers in Jesus Christ, we're here to help people. That's what ministry is about. That's what our church is about. That's why we're here. That's why I came to Turpin. I didn't come because of the weather. And somebody was mentioning today that snakes are going to be real bad. I'm like, I just freak out a little bit when it comes to snakes. And Melissa like, if it was really that bad, I wouldn't live here. So Melissa kind of keeps me from almost having a panic attack. But if there's anything going on in your life, if there's anything that is just keeping you separated from God, if you're at one of these points that you have that, you're being deceived, or even if you made that decision, or there's that full-blown sin in your life, you've got to confess that. You've got to turn that over to Him. Because if not, your life will just continue to be miserable. Now, it's not going to be perfect. Don't get me wrong. Okay, it's not going to be perfect. But it will be better. So let's pray. Father God, just thank you for today. God, thank you for your son Jesus. God, just thank you for Pastor Dan. God, I know this last 7 weeks. I was talking to him yesterday, I said, hey, how long has it been? He said, it's been 7 weeks. God, I know it's been a struggle for him. But God, I know that you're showing him things. You're teaching him things. God, I pray you continue to do that. God, we love him so much. God, I pray that you'll be with the brothers and sisters that are here today. God, if there's anything in their lives, God, that they would just turn over to them and over to you. God, I ask all this in your name. Amen.